Good morning and welcome to another one of Drew's Book Reviews. So today's book review is going to be on Star Wars Fate of the Jedi Ascension. So this is the eighth book in the Fate of the Jedi series. So this book starts off essentially with a split in the Lost Tribe of the Sith. So of course we have the Lost Tribe and we have Abeloth. Abeloth being this entity that both the Jedi and the Lost Tribe are seeking to destroy, or the Lost Tribe either want to control Abeloth, and if they can't, they want to destroy Abeloth. Vestera Kai, she has essentially allied herself with Luke and Ben. Her father has split off from the Lost Tribe and decided to join Abeloth instead. Kind of the if you can't beat them, join them type mentality, essentially, is what came from behind that. And of course, this happens right after Abeloth launches an attack against the Lost Tribe. And so he's basically said, "That's it, I'm joining Abeloth. Abeloth is more powerful." And he did so out of a attempt to survive, essentially. So, one thing I really like about this is that we learn a little bit more of the history of the Sith, who they are, and where they came from. So the Sith homeworld is this world known as Korriban. Now, what we learned about the Sith is that the Sith themselves, like what we come to know as a Sith Lord, isn't actually a Sith. Sith were the native people of Korriban, and in ancient history, when these Sith Lords first landed there, because they were powerful dark side Force users, known as Dark Jedi at the time, they came to dominate the people of this world, hence becoming known as the Lord of the Sith. So that was really interesting to kind of learn a lot more about the origins of the Sith and where they came from. Now, inevitably, on the homeworld of the Sith, Vestera and her father come to a confrontation. Now, eventually, this confrontation happens on the planet of Dromund Kaas. Now, this really is kind of the turning point for Vestera. She is faced with having to do something she never thought she would have to do when she has this confrontation with her father. And this is kind of, I guess, say, the breaking point for her. She begins her journey of total transformation at this point, and this is where we really see a pretty big change within her character. Now, she'd always kind of been one of those characters that she's born and raised Sith, so she embraces the dark side, while at the same time still showing that she has the capacity to care and love other people. Now, all throughout this series, Vestera has shown on numerous different occasions that perhaps she can be trusted, and that it's not all deception. But Luke has consistently not trusted her, and to be honest, it's kind of was getting a bit old. This constant distrust of Vestera, this constant closed-mindedness to any idea that anybody could possibly be trustworthy if they were born and raised Sith, which in a sense is kind of, I guess you could say, kind of a racism or discrimination or bigotry toward the Sith, which is understandable in the Star Wars universe, of course. But at this point in this book, it was starting to feel like it was getting old, and Vestera is obviously growing more and more frustrated with Luke's complete mistrust and unwilling to give her the benefit of the doubt on anything. While Ben has consistently given her the benefit of the doubt and has trusted her, not completely, mind you, um, but has trusted her and given her the benefit of the doubt in many circumstances, Vestera's growing more frustrated with this, which is absolutely understandable, and I totally get why that would be. Now, the funny thing is that what I found kind of nonsensical, I guess, is that there's so much mistrust from Luke on Vestera, and yet, the moment Vestera says, "I want to become a Jedi," all Luke did was probe her with the Force, and suddenly, yeah, I trust her. I trust that she really wants to become a Jedi. It just seems so counter to the whole profile that Luke was set up for in the series. And suddenly he trusts that she really wants to become a Jedi. And I mean, if it was as simple as probing her with the Force to determine the truth and sincerity of what she was saying or doing, why could Luke not have done that so much earlier in the series? Why did he have to put up this wall of mistrust? And that just didn't seem to align with how the character of Luke was portrayed in this book series so far, where there's this sudden change. So throughout this series, one of the things about Vestera's character that I'm really growing to like is her journey from this girl who was raised Sith to understanding a new way of life, a new way of thinking. And in a sense, her character is growing quite a bit within this series, which I'm really enjoying. She has these secret letters which she's been writing to her imaginary Jedi father, imagining someone who would care and love her in the same way that Luke has for Ben. You can tell that this is a deep desire of her heart, and she's never experienced this. And she didn't even know it was possible until she saw how Luke and Ben had been interacting with each other. And she sees this and begins to want to have this kind of relationship with her own father. And so she's been writing these letters to express this imaginary relationship that she deeply desires and wishes she had. So, towards the end of the book, Vestera is once again faced with a difficult decision that she has to make, which kind of leads her to this emotional crisis, so to speak, or this identity crisis that she doesn't know who she is, or she is just accepting her nature, or maybe giving up on trying to change her nature. It's almost as if she resigns herself to her fate, which in a way is kind of the tragedy behind her character. But for this particular book, I would have to say Vestera is by far the most interesting character. And I am really liking her character within this book and just overall really, really enjoying it. And this is a great Star Wars series, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody. Just before we wrap up this review, just want to quickly throw out there one of the one of the plot points in this, which I'm sure will be developed further in the final book, was the reason Luke pulled all the Jedi off at Coruscant was actually to lure the Sith to Coruscant, allow them to infiltrate Coruscant, so that they can gather them all in one place, so that there could be lead up to this one final epic battle between the Sith and the Jedi, which I think is being set up quite effectively for the final book in this series, which I'm really looking forward to reading. I'm looking forward to reviewing for you as well. I also have to say I really like the epic battle between former Chief of State Dala and her forces and Chief of State of the Galactic Empire Remnants, Jagged Fell. So they kind of have an epic space battle in there as well, which I thought was really cool. But anyway, definitely check it out. Great book series. I am really enjoying this series, and I would definitely recommend, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. Absolutely worthwhile, worth the read. And of course, don't forget to stay tuned for the next book in the series, Apocalypse, Fate of the Jedi, ninth and final book in this particular book series. Look forward to reading it. That is up next. Again, thank you so much for watching. Links to all my social media profiles will be in the description below. Hope you have yourself a fantastic day, and thank you so much for watching. You have a great day.